Our opening and closing hymns today are both African American spirituals. When singing them this morning, please take a moment to reflect on those for whom these songs were a community-building, spiritually connecting lifeline to hope for a brighter future and a more equitable world.
We are going to start with the hymn, When the Spirit Says Do. If you want, it's in the teal hymnal, and the number is 1024. But I'm going to encourage you to be brave and leave your hymnals under the chairs if you'd like. This spiritual is very repetitive. The words repeat over and over. We're only going to change one word each verse. So we're going to sing it through with Spirit Says Do, and then we're going to change to Spirit Says Dance, followed by Spirit Says Dream, and then we'll go back to Spirit Says Do. So I encourage you to stand up, sing along, move your body, warm up your voices, and let's enjoy this song together. To do when the Spirit says do. You've got to do when the Spirit says do. When the Spirit says do, you've got to do. Oh Lord, you've got to do when the Spirit says do. Spirit says do. Spirit says do. Spirit says do. To dance when the Spirit says dance. You've got to dance when the Spirit says dance. When the Spirit says dance, you've got to dance. Oh Lord, you've got to dance when the Spirit says dance. Spirit says dance. Spirit says dance. Spirit says dance. Spirit says dance, Spirit says dance, Spirit says dance. You've got to dream when the Spirit says dream. You've got to dream when the Spirit says dream. When the Spirit says dream, you've got to dream. Oh Lord, you've got to dream when the Spirit says dream. Spirit says dream, 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 Spirit says dream. You've got to do when the Spirit says do. You've got to do when the Spirit says do. When the Spirit says do, you've got to do. Oh Lord, you've got to do when the Spirit says do. 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 Spirit says do.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Boulder Valley Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. This is our monthly story service. All ages here joining us. And so it's just a delight to see us all here together. I'm Reverend Lydia Ferrante Roseberry. I'm the minister of this congregation. And I'm joined today by Service Associate Karen Griglak, and our Director of Lifespan Faith Formation, Jessica Lakeman. Julie Morris and Mary Stagpole are leading our music today. And the behind-the-scenes folks that make this all happen are Larry Sherwood, Mary Hill, and Kathy Partridge, and a whole host of Zoomies. The last I looked, there were 40 people on Zoom this morning. So you all are the ones that make this the community that it is. So I'm just delighted to see you here. New faces and those who have known for many, many years.
As I say the welcome words this morning, I invite you to look around at all of the beautiful faces here in the sanctuary and in those little boxes on Zoom. You are all welcome here today. In the beauty of languages, cultures, skin tones, shapes and sizes, gifts and challenges that come together in your specific uniqueness, you are welcome here. In all the ways you experience and express gender, you are welcome here. In the beauty that is who you love and how you love, you are welcome here. In all the ways you make your living and in all the places you are from, you are welcome here. With all of the traditions that inform your spiritual life, you are welcome here today. No matter how long you are away, nor how long until you return, you are welcome here. Whether you come with laughter in your heart or tears, you are welcome here. You are invited to join us with an open mind, a loving heart, and helping hands. We welcome you here this morning.
We acknowledge that the land surrounding us is the stolen territory of the Arapaho people, and that many Native peoples roamed freely on this land for millennia before the arrival of white settlers. We commit ourselves to being a center for spiritual exploration and justice-making, and to anti-racism and anti-oppression work within and beyond our congregation. If you are new here, we are really glad that you found us, and we hope that in this community, whether you're with us in person or virtually,
Hi, Zoomies.
you can experience the warmth and the love of this congregation. Each Sunday is different here. Boy, is each Sunday different here. So please come back a few times to really get to know us. We have many opportunities during the week for social connection and spiritual growth. Those on Zoom can check out the links in the chat to help you get connected. Those in person can find our newcomer form on the QR code in the back of the hymnal, or at least most of them. Or if it's not there, stop by the welcome table in the foyer to better get connected. Everyone on Zoom is welcome to stay on Zoom for a virtual coffee hour following the service. And everyone in here is welcome to go to coffee hour in the fellowship hall. Today's Inquirers series is a Path to Membership class. And if you are interested in learning more about joining, you are welcome to attend immediately following the service. We'll start our meeting over in the administrative wing, sort of that way. This class is in person only, but we are looking forward to having a Zoom Path to Membership class this spring. Finally, if any new visitors on Zoom would like to introduce yourselves, please do so in the chat. We love to know who is among us. Those of you in the sanctuary, let's just take a minute to greet your neighbor and say hello. Hi, neighbor.
Hi.
Hi, neighbor.
Hi, neighbor.
Do we want to turn those off so we can turn them on?
Turn what off?
The burners.
Yeah.
If you have a chalice at home, you can light it with me as Reverend Lydia lights our fellowship chalice. So that we know where all of our chalices are, those of you on Zoom, we invite you to put into the chat chalice lit at, and then the name of your city. Now please say the words along with me as Reverend Lydia lights our chalice. We light this chalice for the warmth of love, the light of truth, and the energy of action. And now I'll sing our bowl again, inviting it to draw you deeper into the present moment and to this, our beloved community.
Our opening words this morning are from the Reverend Emily Bogus, and it is called Don't Feed the Fears. Do fears eat Dave's killer toast? I mean, bears love marmalade, but fears? Do they prefer butter? Almond or peanut? Smooth or crunchy? What do you feed yours? I'm trying to keep my fears well fed, mostly on carbs, maybe with a slather of protein so they won't come a howlin'. As I'm attempting something I've never done, as I'm taking seriously what happens to be a crazy idea, as I'm risking removing another piece of armor from my heart. For too long, I've fed fears my dreams. Ripped edges of colorful paper, jotted down words and moments of clarity, messages sent from a source beyond time to the shores of my fear-fed life. This is possible. So it's time for a new diet. Dave's Killer Toast it is. May the spirit of courage fill our beings so that when the fears come a-howlin', we will not feed them our dreams. Amen.
So every day, all through your day, you are making choices. Things happen, you make a decision, and it shapes your life, and it shapes the life of those around you. It's that simple. This is how we interact together. But do we put enough thought into how we react to things that are happening to us? Sometimes we're just so busy that we just react rather than think first. And as with many things, I've learned, maybe the hard way, that sometimes just that moment to pause can make a big difference in what you're doing. It can increase your awareness, help you choose better words or better actions to take. This affects every single aspect of our lives, all of our relationships, and everything we do. So here's a little short story to help you remember that how we respond to situations is our choice. This story is called Potatoes, Eggs, and Coffee Beans.
Once, not too long ago, there was a child who complained to their parent that life was miserable, and they didn't know how they were going to make it. They were tired of fighting and struggling all the time. It seemed that just as one problem was solved, another one would turn up in its place. Their parent, who was a chef, took them to the kitchen and filled 3 pots with water and placed each on a hot fire. Once the 3 pots began to boil, they placed potatoes in one pot, eggs in the second pot, and ground coffee beans in the third pot. And then they let them sit and boil without saying a word. The child looked and then moaned and waited rather impatiently, wondering what on earth was happening. So while we let you wonder, we're going to learn a song. So Mary is going to come up and join me. And the song that we're going to learn, we're going to teach and then sing together. We'll teach it sort of call and response style. So this song is called Wisdom in My Bones. So I'll sing a verse, and then you'll sing it back. And we'll go back and forth to learn it, and then we'll all sing together a few times, okay? And the words, I think, will be up on the screen in just a moment. I'm going to wait for the words to get there before I get going. There it is. So me first. I'm coming home to the wisdom in my bones, in my bones. I'm coming home to the wisdom in my bones, in my bones. I'm coming home to the wisdom in my bones. I'm coming home to the wisdom in my bones. We're going to do that again. I'm coming home to the wisdom in my bones, in my bones. I'm coming home to the wisdom in my bones. My turn. I long for rest. I long for peace. I'm coming home to the wisdom in my bones. I long for rest. I long for peace. I'm coming home to the wisdom in my bones. All together from the top. I'm coming home to the wisdom in my bones, in my bones. I'm coming home to the wisdom in my bones. Again. I'm coming home to the wisdom in my bones, in my bones. I'm coming home to the wisdom in my bones. I long for rest. I long for peace. I'm coming home to the wisdom in my bones. I long for rest. I long for peace. I'm coming home to the wisdom in my bones. From the top. I'm coming home to the wisdom in my bones, in my bones. I'm coming home to the wisdom in my bones. I'm coming home to the wisdom in my bones, in my bones. I'm coming home to the wisdom in my bones. I long for rest. I long for peace. I'm coming home to the wisdom in my bones. I long wisdom in my bones. All right, are we feeling brave? Are we feeling brave? Do you think you're brave? Do you got it? We're going to do the two parts. We're going to split the congregation. I know, we're getting tricky with it. And let's stand up for this part. We got to get some energy happening. All right. So we're all going to sing the first section, I'm coming home to the wisdom in my bones. We're all going to sing it through twice together. And then Mary's side of the congregation is going to continue. I long for rest, I long for peace. And this side of the congregation is going to stay on wisdom in my bones. All right? Feeling good? All right, we can do this. I believe in you. All right. And we'll sing it through twice with the repeats. So 4 total times after we do it all together. Okay? All right. 1, 2, 3. I'm coming home to the wisdom in my bones. In my bones, I'm coming home to the wisdom in my bones. I'm coming home to the wisdom in my bones. In my bones, I'm coming home to the wisdom in my bones. Stay there. I'm coming home to the wisdom in my bones. In my bones, I'm coming home to the wisdom in my bones. I'm coming home to the wisdom in my bones. In my bones, I'm coming home to the wisdom in my bones. I'm coming home to the wisdom in my bones. In my bones, I'm coming home to the wisdom in my bones. I'm coming home to the wisdom in my bones. In my bones, I'm coming home to the wisdom in my bones. Give yourselves a hand. That was great.
Thank you. This is a time in our service where we come together for sacred sharing. For those of you who may have a joy or a concern you'd like to share, we will be inviting you up to share. Karen will offer you the mic. But before we do that, and those of you on Zoom, put it in the chat, and then I will read it from the chat as we're closing our joys and concerns. But before we do that, I would like to add, I've asked Karen to add a heartstone for all of the lives lost in the mass shooting yesterday in Monterey Park, California. Yeah, so there was another one. 10 lives lost and many people hospitalized right now. So in this community, we know all too well the impact of that and how, and the loss and the fracturing of that community. So I just invite us to hold in our hearts all of those who are suffering now, and to do whatever it is we see in our power to begin to shift this disease and dis-ease in our country. Now, if you're in the sanctuary today, feel free to come up and you can put a stone in our water and share your joy and concern. Beloved, we gather as one big circle, probably, 80 or maybe more years amongst us. The beauty of being an intergenerational community. Some of the congregations are some of the last of the intentionally intergenerational communities we have. and what a gift it is for us to be together. We gather with our sorrows, our deep pains, some too difficult to name. And yet we know that coming together brings hope. Coming together may mean a hand on our shoulder just when we need it, or just the right song to lift our spirits just a little bit. We also gather to share our joys, to share of the healing that we experience, to share the milestones. We gather to give each other strength, to offer each other solace, and to celebrate this mix that is life. May our gathering, even in this time or in these times when so much challenge is before us, may our gathering give us the resilience and the strength and the courage that we need to forever be bringing more love and joy into this ailing world. Blessed be. Amen. So now back to the story. Maybe you, like our child in the story, have been wondering, have been beginning to maybe even feel a little bit impatient, wondering about these potatoes, the eggs, and the coffee up here. So let's continue.
After some time, they turned off the burners. They took the potatoes out of the pot and placed them on a plate. They took the eggs out and placed them in a bowl.
And placed it in a bowl of ice water.
Then they poured the coffee out and placed it in a cup.
Ooh, that's interesting. Forgetting that the tablecloth was plastic, the father, the chef, made a mistake. Okay, there we go.
Turning to the child, the parent asked,
So what do you see?
Potatoes, eggs, and coffee.
Look closer. Touch the potatoes.
They're soft. And the egg's hard.
Finally, they asked the child to smell the coffee. And its rich aroma brought a weird smile to her face.
But what does it all mean?
The parent explained that the potatoes, the eggs, and coffee beans had each faced the same adversity, the boiling water. However, each one reacted differently. The potato went in strong, hard, and unrelenting, but in boiling water, it became soft and weak. The egg was fragile, with a thin outer shell protecting its liquid interior until it was put in the boiling water. Then the inside of the egg became hard. However, the ground coffee was unique. After they were exposed to the boiling water, they changed the water and created something new. And we'll leave you there to ponder that for a spell. Put that on the table. Table. Thank you. Each week, we remind ourselves of the abundance of our lives in this community by giving half of our plate away to those organizations that share our values. Today, the half plate is for the Gilbert Fund, named after a former minister here, Rudy Gilbert. This is a social justice fund that is used by our Social Justice Council for our community outreach. Some of the activities that have been funded are the Posadas gatherings for the Colorado Statewide Parent Coalition and assistance for local parents in the education of their children. Future projects include support for a local event about the Genizaro and to support an event in September 2023 at Fort Garland, highlighting the Genizaro, who are descendants from 5 tribes whose ancestors were captured by other tribes and sold as slaves, predominantly to the Spanish. You can text your donation at the number on the screen. If you're in the fellowship today, you are also welcome to place an offering in the plate as it passes. Please give generously, as you so often do. And as our musical reflection begins, we invite you to reflect upon, and if you're on Zoom, write into the chat your answer to this question. How do you react when you're in hot water?
for all of the work of this fellowship, including the work of our Gilbert Social Justice Fund, which goes out into our community. We dedicate our efforts and our offerings. So what did you make of that story? Which one are you? Who wants to fess up a little bit? Or what happens, what do you do in hot water? We'll go back to that, because maybe you don't want to say you're a potato. I would get that. I would get that. What do you do when you're under stress in hot water? We've got some very quiet people here today. I'll have to read from the chat. Carol Pranchke says, I'm working on staying engaged in the moment. Julie Leonard says, I love hot water. Hot springs, hot tea. But taking it metaphorically, I guess I just try to take the next step. Debbie Lane writes, ask for help. It's a great thing to do in hot water. Kathy Partridge writes, I jump into action without thinking first, and sometimes I regret that. Do any of these sound familiar? Anybody from here want to share what they do and what they might do in hot water? All of them, right? Yes, going soft, getting hard, and transforming, right. Right, well, I've been thinking about this. As I've been thinking about this story, I started thinking about the hot water we've been in. And there's been many, many pots of hot water lately. But the one I'm particularly thinking about is the pandemic. Thinking about the pandemic as this ongoing simmer hot water. It's been a drag on us in so many ways. Some people are still unable to be around others without serious risk to their health. But in a lot of ways, we've created something new that would not have been created without the hardship. Now, I do not want to minimize the lives lost, the millions of lives lost, and the hardship and the isolation and the mental health issues that have accompanied the pandemic. But what I do want to lift up is how some new things can get created. We have now, last I looked it was 40, maybe more than 40 people on Zoom. A couple weeks ago it was closer to 60. We have been able to, because of the mess of the pandemic, create a bridge that we never thought we could create, which is enabling people to come to our services from anywhere. It hasn't always been easy. There have been real benefits. But we've definitely changed the water and created something new. And I'm thinking as we go ahead as a congregation or in whatever other organizations you might be in, everything has been turned upside down, boiled in this hot water that we've been in. And I can't think of a group that isn't somehow reconfiguring and trying to kind of make things work. And at some point, most people figure out they can't go back to where they were without some real costs. And so the resilience, the power, is not tightening up around what can't be, or just flopping into mush around what's changed, but really being able to transform into what's new. In this congregation, you may have noticed, those of you who may not have been here in a while, but this is a brand new building. So we got a couple of things that have been churned for us. And this becomes our opportunity now to say, what's new? How are we going to be transformed by this new context, this new situation? So even though we're in the midst of some hot water, we probably always will be. There's always something. Our job as humans is to transform it into something aromatic and beautiful. Maybe figure out how to put a little cream and sugar in it so that what was the stress of hot water can become something new. May we take that into our lives everywhere and see how we can be transformers and agents of beautiful change.
All right, we get to sing together one more time today, and it's another familiar one, most likely. So we're going to sing This Little Light of Mine. It's in the gray hymnal, if you need the words. It's number 118. We'll sing the 3 verses written, and then we'll add probably a familiar verse at the end of the hide it under a bushel, no, to remind us all to take our uniqueness and how we uniquely transform these crazy situations and let it shine out into the world and share with each other. So again, it's number 118 in the gray hymnal. I invite you to stand if you are feeling up for it today, and let's sing together.
There are announcements this week. Always. Always. I want to remind you that the Meeting of the Minds is coming back. We haven't done it in a few years. So it is our mid-year congregational meeting. There will be music. We're going to do a potluck. And there will be some juicy visioning for us to do about our future together. And that is on February, I'm going to say 4th is the Saturday, right? So February 4th from 12 to 3, we're going to do it midday. And it's a potluck. You can find more information in Connections Weekly. Ask somebody at the front. And there was an RSVP somewhere. I'm looking at Christiana. Is there an RSVP form in the weekly? Excellent. Christiana over there would know a lot about Meeting of the Minds, so you can check with her. Carol Pransky wanted you to know that your tax contribution statements went out to pledging fellowship members. If you have questions, Carol will be available at the breakout room in Zoom meets if you have questions. And it's not going to be like, what's your pledge kind of thing. It's just like, what are your questions you might have? And if you're not on Zoom today, Carol will have another Zoom meeting this Wednesday from 3 to 4. Also, for anybody who has questions about their tax statements. If you've read the NAACP Community Read, The Sum of Us, or if you're familiar with the work of its author, Dr. Heather McGee, join Nancy Doherty on Zoom on Monday, January 30th for a discussion of the book. And then in a few months, area faith communities will convene and use the book as a starting point for community interfaith anti-racism activities. You can go to the welcome desk with your email and you'll be contacted if you want to be participating in that. Next Sunday, we are having a brunch for our newly forming 20s and 30s social group. If you're in this age range or close enough, nobody's going to ask you your driver's license or anything. You will be invited to join at 11:30 in the fellowship hall. To sign up, see Marianne Lawler, who is right there. There's Marianne, following the service. Food and childcare will be provided. Next Sunday is our masks required service, January 29th. So we do at least one of those a month for maximum accessibility for those who are most vulnerable among us so they can attend in person. And following this service, we will have our path to membership for anybody who is interested. That way, go that way, and we'll feed you there too. So. And I have one more thing. I'm going to ask Rosie O'Connor to come up here for a moment, please. Rosie? Oh, no, she says. Rosie is our elementary school teacher. So, and Jessica's going to say a few words.
So Rosie joined us mid-pandemic when we were meeting on Zoom and then outside doing classes. And so Rosie's been with us, I was looking it up, it's like 2.5 years at this point. And is a lifelong UU, and we have been so grateful to have Rosie in our elementary classroom with our kiddos. Rosie has been such a gift. The passion that you bring to this work is evident every week. And we are so sad to be losing you. But Rosie has like big plans for her life. I don't know. It's fine. And so staying our 5 hours a week teaching Sunday school just wasn't going to cut it with grad school. I just can't imagine why. But we will be missing Rosie dearly. And next Sunday will be Rosie's last Sunday with us. So I'm going to save all my emotional part for then when there's not a bunch of people looking at me. But if you would please join me in giving Rosie a round of applause for just being one of the most wonderful Dear, we are going to miss you.
Please join me as we extinguish our chalice this morning. We extinguish this chalice, but not the warmth of love, the light of truth, or the energy of action. These we carry in our hearts until we meet again. May we go forth, bringing love, reason, compassion, and justice into this world. May we go forth knowing that we can be transformers and healers to ourselves and to others. Blessed be. Amen.